I think it's time we checked in with our good friend, our president, Donald Joseph Trump, who's been getting some questions. I don't have much to say here. It's just really funny. It's just incredibly funny. How are you holding up over the last 3.5 hours?
Very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom.
Very good. By the way, see those trucks over there? They've just started construction on the new ballroom.
The White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you so much.
You can really tell how much he cares. Yeah, that's not the only time, too.
He was very hurt when he saw this, but I mean, everybody was. Oh, when I heard it, I was in the midst of, building a great. For 150 years, they've wanted a ballroom at the White House, right? They don't have a ballroom. They have to use tents on the lawn for President Xi when he comes over. If it rains, it's a wipeout. And so I was with the architects that would design. It's going to be incredible. And they came in. They said, Charlie Kirk is dead. I didn't know what they meant. I said, what do you mean dead? Charlie Kirk was shot. And they thought he was dead because it was so horrific, And I said, dead? You got...
You laugh, but they're going to name the ballroom after him? Probably, yeah. They're probably going to... It's going to be the Charlie Kirk Presidential Ballroom or some shit like that. Oh my God. He's a narcissist. He doesn't like the attention being off himself. The studio lights are so bad for Trump. He does look particularly bad here. I know we say that a lot, and in fairness, he is a very ugly person, but he does look especially bad. Like, the orange is very saturated under these lights. I'm mildly shocked he isn't getting a state funeral. Well, about that, I wouldn't, there have been efforts. We'll get to Nancy Mace when we get to Nancy Mace, everyone's taking their shot. Because again, nobody believes in anything. Remember that guy from the other day where Charlie Kirk got shot and he was like, live in Utah, just got shot, shooting in Utah, like and subscribe. That guy, that's every Republican right now. Every single Republican, He's so funny, man. He's so funny. Okay, Nancy Mace. So here's Nancy Mace yesterday. It's gonna get demonetized for this, but I can't not play it.
This shit ends. Like, enough is enough. And now I have to deal with real safety concerns. It sounds like the shooter was a or pro.
Tag yourself. Figure that would cover pretty much everyone watching.
And just because I want to... By
the way, her speaking to the press here, 100% started with her wanting to say that. Everything else she says in this, I'm only just show this clip because I saw more of it, but this bit right here is the reason she just wanted to say that. I understand.
Protect women, that I'm worried about getting murdered. Are you fucking kidding me? It's out of control, and enough is enough, and I'm going to double down on this.
See, she has nothing else to say after that. It was all for that statement.
I'm going to be more vigilant than ever. I'm going to be louder than I've ever been until this shit stops. It's got to stop. This shit ends.
So that's super funny. Anyway, after it turned out the shooter was a cisgender white man, we know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We will try to do the same. So sadly, it didn't pan out. She could have milked this for at least 6 more months of social media clout if it had been a trans woman or whatever, but nah. Sorry. It reminds me of the VTuber hesitating to slur. Oh, the person who was doing ethnogesser and couldn't pull out the N-word to say their life. Their VTube model was literally like a SS officer and they were uncomfortable saying the N-word. It turned out to be a guy with a voice changer. Ah, that's right. Yeah, the VTuber girl who couldn't say the N-word was a guy with a girl voice changer. Crazy how good those are these days, Anyway, Nancy Mace is introducing a resolution to get Charlie Kirk to lie in the Capitol Rotunda, should the Kirk family wish for him to be honored as such. And here we have a very high IQ concurrent resolution written in crayon. Look at the font sizing on this. Jesus Christ. Authorizing the use of the Rotunda of the Capitol for lying in honor of the remains of the late Charles James Kirk. This whole time we've just been calling him Charlie, even though his biological name was Charles. Okay. A lifelong advocate for freedom of speech, civil political discourse, and the political engagement of youth. That's true. We need a state funeral. We need to see can you have any idea how funny it would be to watch a state funeral play out for Charlie Kirk? Everyone going up to the podium and like giving their bit. Every clout chaser on the right, which is all of them, trying to like give their spiel, do their little pitch into the microphone or whatever. Ezra Klein will throw himself on the coffin weeping. Yeah. It's true. They'll definitely turn him into their horse vessel. I don't think they can. I know it's crazy, but like I really do not think that they believe in anything enough to keep that energy going. They've already reached like a maximal rhetorical saturation. I don't think they can ramp up the rhetoric that much more. Like every time any white person dies and gets attention, they're like, "This is it. I'm the blood of Europa shall be spilled no further. Come, Deus Volt, my fellow meme lords, my fellow groypers. You know, march forward." Like it's the same shit all the time. I don't know how they can make anything because they have no sense of proportionality. Everything is maximum, like loudness all the time. I also really want to see some CNN talking heads talk about the messages on the bullet casings. Please, God.
Give our viewers the details on what you mentioned just a minute ago, which is the messages that law enforcement say were on the suspect's murder weapon.
When they found that weapon just in the woods, just in this neighborhood behind the campus in the direction that the suspect fled, they found engravings on the ammunition and the rifle, and I believe we have a soundbite that we can play describing what those engravings were. Take a listen.
Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings
I want to hear it again.
With the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this question mark?" Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO."
So, "Oh Bella Ciao," that is a song glorifying the partisans who fought against the fascists and the occupying Nazis in Italy during the Second World War. And later, when the governor was asked about a motive, he said, well, maybe you
want to provide any like explanations for the other ones?
Don't need to look any further than those words, "Hey, fascist, catch." Dana?
What about the other two? I want to know what you have to say about the other two. I'm really curious.
Let's start with you. Law enforcement clearly has a lot more answers. We heard it this morning, but there are still questions. What are your questions right now?
Hey, don't ignore them. Don't ignore them. Please don't ignore them. Don't ignore the 2 funniest bullet casings.
Yeah, so we have so much more to work with now as a result of the press conference. Law enforcement will have an infinitely greater amount of details as this day goes on and we roll into tomorrow, because what they're doing right now undoubtedly are executing search warrants at locations relevant to he has on any electronic. This remarkable exchange that they got when they investigators interacted with crime and then changing back to try roommate. No, why was he included?
Is it true the one he died from is the 001? Yes, the one he died from is the 001. Charlie Kirk got slimed in the neck by the notices your bulge, what's this? Bullet. Yes.
In this part of the plan, did he understand that there was an assassination involved here? If
his behavior, which law enforcement was told that he has become more political in recent years, and specifically had conversations with his family about Kirk, quote, spreading hate.
I know it's a joke. Like, I know we're kind of treating it like a joke. It's actually a huge indictment of our journalistic credibility in this country that they're not engaging with the subtext of what those bullets say. They're just running through their usual spiel. The FBI will be interviewing people. No shit. They do that anytime anything happens. That's standard procedure for any police department, including the feds, okay? They're going to be gathering evidence. The title of the video and what you opened with was the engravings on the casing. So talk about those. Do you not have anyone around who's like remotely... Like, okay, here is what would happen in a newsroom that was kind of like this one, but it wasn't dog shit. They would hear about the engravings on the bullet casings and they would go, what the f does this mean? Bella Ciao, oh whoa, bulge. What does any of this mean? Does anyone around here know what this means? What is this even referencing? And somebody working for the team, because they have many people there, would go, I think I understand what these mean. I think these are references, and I think that this is like a big internet culture thing. And they would go, okay, let's get our internet culture guys on. Let's get people on who have subject expertise so they can talk about it. But nope. Instead, they just ignore it. They ignore what they don't understand, and they just run with the stuff they barely understand, you know?
What do the new details tell you about the alleged shooter's motive?
Well, to be honest, there's so much we don't know that we really do want to know as we repiece what's been going on in his life in the last few years. I wouldn't say he's been so much become more political as he's become more politicized, perhaps. And usually you see this happen in the lives of young people who don't have enough purpose in their lives.
Oh my God.
And he did not
like the most boomer analysis in the world. Not wrong, but boomer, you know, like incomplete, lacking.
And that particular university, based on what I've read, he just had one semester at the state university 4 years ago, like did the freshman year semester and, you know, didn't go back. So what has been happening in the last 4 years? Does he have a job? Was he living at home and then got his own place? You know, where does he live with this roommate? Did he have a girlfriend? Did he have any purpose in his life? When you don't have purpose, kind of like idle hands are the devil's play shop, an idle mind is ripe for the picking for
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God. We should bring somebody on here to talk about how like video games cause shootings or something.
Or radicalization or politicization. And it just looks like he was spending all of his time online, reading things and buying into things that gave him a sense of purpose and power. Because really, this was just a power move, probably more personal than political, to make himself feel powerful.
This isn't entirely incorrect, but you really can't engage with this, and you cannot even begin to get into this with substantive commentary unless you are familiar enough with internet culture to know what it means that a person would throw their life away on a high-profile assassination, but then engrave the bullets with stupid, out-of-date internet memes. That's another thing worth keeping in mind. The "oh, whoa, notices bulge" thing, that's like a decade old. That's old. People don't really say, people don't reference that anymore. People reference the stuff that reference that. That's an old meme. Like, literally, the thing that's from, he was a kid when that came out. So, like a little kid. So I like there's you can't engage with this unless you're even remotely familiar with. Do you think they're a 4chaner? I don't think there's a such thing as a 4chaner anymore. There are 5 websites on Earth now, and everyone uses all of them. There's YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and 4chan, I guess. I don't know. Make it fit however you want. Like it's all old hat stuff. I don't know.
He really didn't have a good escape or exit plan. So he didn't think beyond the act. And that tells us a lot about his lack of maturity.
I mean, he did escape, though. It actually seems like he did a pretty good job escaping. He was just stupid and blabbed to his Discord friends.
I want to drill down on that point that you just made about the fact that he clearly lived on the internet. And Andy, what law enforcement officials said, and the governor himself said, is that these bullet casings, explain the bullet casings, and to people who don't live on the internet, several of the...
Oh? Who's LMFAO? A hacksaw, a Chinese hacksaw? Yeah. LMFAO, of course, is a reference to a famous band. The notorious hacker Anonymous. It's...
The markings were specifically memes or, sort of ideas that are found in internet culture. And we cannot, I think, drill down on this enough, how much this is potentially playing into not just this horrible tragedy, but society.
What the lady, what the fuck are you saying? Give me your paycheck. I don't make enough money, okay? Give me your paycheck. Mail me a check written out to the amount that CNN paid you for this. Whatever the direct deposit was, do the math and average it out for the day and give it to me. Jesus, we do live in a society. It's true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's So I'm dating myself a little bit here, but when I was running the counterterrorism division in the FBI, we were confronted with this awful tidal wave of radicalization as ISIS kind of came to prominence in Syria and Iraq. We started looking, trying to identify those key radicalizers that had an impact on people who we had arrested and convicted for terrorism offenses or offenses related to terrorism. And we had a laundry list of all kinds of environmental and historical biological factors.
What?
And there was only one that was absolutely consistent among all of our convicted terrorists or terrorist associates, and that was the consumption of online propaganda. And this was
Yeah, that's true. The ISIS fellas got radicalized basically the same way that any like American school shooter does. That is true.
of course, earlier days in online propaganda started with AQAP, with Inspire magazine, and then ultimately ISIS elevated
They have their own version of the internet, man. Every time like an Iranian military leader got killed in Syria or whatever, they would probably post like the Iranian military leader is the dam, and then a like AI generated image of a glorious caliph is the water behind the dam, and they're posting like you Westoids have no idea what you've just unleashed, and they all have K-on profile pictures. Well, no, actually, the ISIS guys actually did something. They have they're a lot less attached to their lives over there.
Game. They were producing like videos of beheadings and things. And what we realized from that was the consumption of that propaganda, which we know on social media is actually targeted to you based on its outrageous content, because the people who put social media and the internet, they understand that people react more strongly with content that they find to be objectionable or outrageous or what have you. So whether at this point today, whether you are you lean politically right or left, you are drawn to by the way the social media is set up, content that is more likely to push you in a radical direction. And I think this is not just...
I think an element of this analysis that's missing, not the only one that's missing, but one of them that's missing, is the fact that like we're living in an era of irony and irreverence, like people misuse irony so often. Irony means so many things, so maybe it's not even misusing it. But like more and more people don't care about stuff and don't have plans for the future. And I think that's because they lack direction and they lack hope. If a person has no real plans for the future and doesn't really have strong convictions, is just kind of guided by emotional impulses, but doesn't like have broader principles or a driving life doctrine or anything like that, I think they tend to be pretty susceptible to this stuff. But you have to understand the nihilism. It's always been a big part of school shootings, all the way back to Columbine. Iran was fighting ISIS. No, that's my point. Like the ISIS guys are like, the West, you thought Iran was bad? Well, they were holding us back, like that kind of thing, Like how Nazis think that Charlie Kirk is like a deep state Israel funded warrior for the Jews or whatever.
Internet culture now. It is our culture. The internet is ubiquitous. Particularly young people are on it. It is their means of communication. It's their means of community and interacting with their friends. So I mean, we should be prepared to see a lot more of this.
And real quick, Casey, we're pretty much out of time, but I do want to pick up on that because this suspect is 22-year-old male. And if you look at so many of the people who are convicted.
The Columbine boys were also Nazis. Yeah, but what's important to remember is that all of these Nazis don't really believe in Nazism. Just like all of these fascists don't really believe in fascism. They don't believe in anything. They have strong emotional impulses, usually having to do with their relationship with women, and they find ideologies that give them satisfying answers to those questions. But they are not primarily advocates for those ideologies. That's not the main thing they believe in. It's just a convenient secondary position. It is laughably easy to turn a Nazi into a Stalinist. They believe almost the same things. The economic positions, irrelevant. Even the positions on Jews, irrelevant. The Jews become the global capitalists, whatever. It's not about the ideology or even the consequential outcomes of believing in these things. It's just about, does it give you an in-group and an out-group? An in-group to work with and an out-group to fear, despise, and blame the world's problems for. Of course, all ideologies have at some level an outgroup, right? That outgroup can be ignorance, it can be fascists, it can be the Jews, it can be capital, it can be a lot of things. But there's a pretty big difference between having an ideology that has a moral doctrine and there are some things that are good and bad versus just looking for a scapegoat for your problems. Overwhelmingly, Nazis just want a scapegoat for their problems. What the messages engraved on the bullet casings could mean. 5 minutes ago from CNN. Memes are supposed to be read by meme audiences. They're meant for in-group communication. That's true. Yeah, for sure. Up arrow symbol, right arrow, 3 down arrows is a reference to Helldivers 2. Hey, fascist catch. I think it speaks for itself. But it could also be a reference to the Helldivers game, which itself is a satirical commentary on fascism as something the player says when they drop a bomb. Yeah, don't they call the bugs fascists? Like, the whole bit is that in Helldivers, you're fascist, but you call them fascists. I'll let you out. Notices bulges, oh whoa, what's this? This phrase refers to an older meme from 4chan furry subculture and is about being unable to distinguish somebody's gender. You know, I think it's when you notice somebody has an erection. Like, maybe some people have used this in the context of like, I thought that you were a woman, but I look down at your crotch and you have a bulge, so you're either like a feminine man or trans or something. But I think like 99% of the time when this is used, yeah, you're just referring to a person being bricked up. Actual journalistic malpractice. I mean, I don't like the fact that they're implicating trans people here with gender politics when this is just like a furry meme. I've never seen it used in the context of questioning a person's gender or physiology. It's literally just like you're bricked up, you know? Suspect is expected makes for court hearing on Tuesday. Damn, pretty quick. Okay. Just an arraignment, right?